Come with us now, if you dare, down a rickety staircase into a dank, dark basement. What awaits? The Saturday Night Freak Show.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Saturday Night Freak Show podcast. We're a weekly movie talk show podcast that comes your way every Saturday, whether you're ready for it or not, in our quest for total world domination. Hey, you can help us out with that by going over to wherever you found us and hitting that like or subscribe button. All of that stuff helps us get found by other like-minded folks like you. And we like you. I think we established this before. Yeah.
Most of you, yeah. Not like everybody, but most of you.
So, but you, the one listener who thinks it's you,
that's the one. It's you. Yeah, you, Todd. You're the one. You.
Well, who are these people talking to you? These are the internet radio superstars.
I'm Joe.
Sean.
Holly.
And I'm Colin. Michaela is on assignment tonight. Joe is our resident expert on tonight's subject. Yeah,
subject topic.
Because we watched a movie that was chosen by
Holly, what we watch tonight?
Tonight we were invaded by Godzilla, 1998.
He's also set on world domination like us.
Aggressively assaulted by it,
yes.
I would say.
Yes. Well, were we though?
Well,
we'll see. We'll decide.
Emotionally.
We'll get
emotionally,
there.
yeah.
We're going to
take another journey right now.
This is the first American Godzilla movie. This is directed by
Roland Emmerich.
Who we would know from
Independence Day.
Of course.
Universal Soldier, The Patriot, Day After Tomorrow.
Did he direct Universal Soldier? I forgot about that. Another good movie.
Yeah. He also did Independence Day Resurgence, your favorite,
Jesus.
Sean. Midway, and everyone's favorite 10,000 BC.
Oh, Master of Disaster. All right.
And 2012.
I would say 2012.
And 2012, yeah.
2012.
What was the one? Didn't he do something that was like a period American history drama at one point? Like now he's like not doing blockbusters anymore or something. And
yeah, I think he did a
when you make Independence Day Resurgence, I understand.
Yeah.
Blockbusters.
I think he did a series, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay. And he was on.
It's just that.
We did one of his movies on this show before. It was Moon 44, his first movie.
I'm sorry.
You can go back and watch or listen to that episode.
Ooh, that was an old one.
I wasn't
here for that one.
Oh, you weren't? It looks like Aliens. He ripped off the style of James
Shocking.
Cameron.
Well,
I know.
He ripped something off?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Crazy.
Welcome to the next hour and a half of conversation.
All right, so Roland Emmerich, auteur, cinematic auteur, really wants to be Steven Spielberg. True or false?
About the auteur or the Steven Spielberg part?
Both.
Which part?
I mean, he's trying. I think he's what.
He's actively trying. Well, even in the movie too, like Spielberg likes to have somebody do the shocked face in every movie.
Yep.
So he's like, all right, old man on dock, do your shocked face. And he didn't know what to do with his hands.
Right.
So,
they never do.
Never do. Ever.
Godzilla also doesn't know what to do with his hands.
No. Although, I mean, he looks like he's been working out on weekends.
He was jacked.
He's on steroids.
How many people hated
radiation
that?
therapy?
I want to know. I want to know how many people hated that he had longer arms in this movie.
Me.
Oh, there we go.
Actively.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now to get off subject a little bit, why? Now, what is the only, if not only because original Godzilla had tiny arms?
Sure.
Like, what does it do for him that gives him longer arms?
Now, I guess maybe
if he was throwing punches, I can
wasn't
understand.
necessarily that he had longer arms. It was that everything about him was like, what if we took Godzilla instead of being this hulking
and made him not Godzilla?
Yes, and we made him just a lizard who has abs.
Right.
Then you get that.
Well,
also, he gets that wind resistance with his arms swinging, so he can run now.
He's
So
way
there's
too
that.
skinny.
And he's fast,
Yeah,
which is
fast.
not what you think of.
This is like Olympian Godzilla.
He is small Godzilla comparatively. He is one of the smaller Godzillas.
Okay, so that was another thing.
Yes.
The scale of this thing.
Much smaller.
Yes.
Smaller, but also not consistent throughout the movie.
Really?
Just me?
Doesn't-
Anyone?
doesn't
Anyone?
feel
Well,
like
he
it?
seems to be able to fit down like subway tunnels in some scenes. In other scenes, just his eye fits in a subway tunnel.
There are moments when it's like when we get early shots of him and we see like how big his feet are and we like compared to like Matthew
They're
Broderick
the
sitting
size
next
of
to
this
him.
bus.
The size of the bus, right? Which they've used for marketing. Great marketing. But then they show him in other scenes, and I'm like, he doesn't look that big anymore. Now he looks kind of smaller.
Sometimes his steps shake the ground and everything on it, and everybody knows what's happening. Other times he's
He,
an
like,
absolute
sneaks up on
ninja.
you.
And he sneaks up on people, yes.
He would have had to leap over said buildings,
Right.
over helicopters to come up behind them.
Right.
Yeah.
His he defies all logic.
Right.
And physics.
He's convenient. He's very convenient.
Well, this was
He's water soluble and goes through the buildings.
Yes,
Yeah. Well, there's like a genesis to actually how we got to this thing, but like how, because we have to figure out like, well, how did they design this radical redesign of Godzilla?
Right.
True.
So
How did we get Godzilla? How did the Americans get Godzilla? Because this is not something we've had ever until that time and until
King Kong was our guy.
Yes.
Right.
Well, before that, too, we also had the original Godzilla movie, King of the Monsters. And when it was released over here in America, they're like, hey, let's just throw Perry Mason into it and have him doing scenes where he's just like, I'm on scene and the Beast is doing this. It's like, it's literally just Perry Mason telling you what's going on.
I'm saying, is there a court scene with Godzilla?
It's pretty good though. The way they do the
that's
editing
almost
in that is
comparative to
pretty
the court
good.
scene with Batman.
It's actually not. Some people say it's definitely not as bad as this.
Yes,
like it's more
absolutely not.
acceptable.
Oh yeah, well that was the only version that you could see until like I
Right.
think the early 2000s when they finally found like the actual original unedited Japanese Godzilla movie and put that out. But so Raymond Burr though, who played Perry Mason, does factor into this little history. So in I think it was 83. The writer Fred Decker and the director Steve Miner had just done Friday the 13th Part 3, right? And so 3D was a big thing. And so they came up with like the next big thing we're going to do is Godzilla in 3D. So they went to Japan and they talked to Toho and they got the rights to actually do Godzilla in 3D. And then that project unfortunately fell apart. But there is a podcast out there, The Greatest Movies Never Made, that had Fred Decker on and they talked about his script if you want to hear that.
Interesting.
So that was like in the 83 or whatever. That made Toho go like, we should bring Godzilla back because there hadn't been a Godzilla movie, I think, since the late 70s.
Yep.
And then Toho made The Return of Godzilla, which was released here in 85 as Godzilla 1985. And they went and got Raymond Burr for the American version and put him back in the movie. So it's a direct sequel to the 54 Godzilla movie.
Makes sense.
But that version is currently unavailable. I don't think you can find it anywhere. Now only you can find the Japanese Return of Godzilla.
Amazing.
Not even on that big Criterion collection? Like they didn't sneak that in there?
No, because it was a New World Pictures release, and a lot of those are like, out there somewhere. So,
So the origin of Godzilla, like we go from 1954, which was the first Godzilla movie released. We don't get ours until 1998. There's a whole shebang there that we don't get an American Godzilla, which I don't know.
We just get English dubs later on.
Yes, we get the English dubs. So in the early 80s, Henry Saperstein started lobbying to try to get the rights to Godzilla. And it's kind of funny. Eventually, in the early 90s, about 1992, during a discussion about the live-action Mr. Magoo, the rights to Godzilla are obtained to make it in America. That should set up what kind of movie we're about to jump into, right?
That's, I don't know.
While we're talking goo, I'd like to bring up Godzilla.
Godzilla is the Mr. Magoo. This
Legit.
Godzilla is the Mr. Magoo in that movie.
Discussion
Absolutely.
about the live-action Mr. Magoo. By the end of it, Godzilla rights are obtained.
Well, there's also like the big thing that happened, I think, in the intervening years was Steven Spielberg made Jurassic Park. There was all this like advancement in computer graphics. So now instead of having to have a guy in a suit, which is what I guess you would have had to do prior to that, now we can do CG.
Silly Japan and their suit Godzilla.
But if you remember, I think it was The Lost World had a scene at the end of it where they finally got like the dinosaurs to like Los Angeles or whatever. And there's a scene of like all these Japanese like tourists running away from it. And it's like, of course, there's your like Inception moment for now we have to do Godzilla.
Right. Well, the guy running even says, I moved away from like, I left Tokyo to get away from this too. It's like, no.
So there you go. So now, the first filmmaker that they go to on this reboot or American version of Godzilla is who?
Jean de Bont.
Who had just done Speed at this point, right?
And
That's a good choice.
Oh.
yeah, at this point, he hadn't done Twister yet.
Right.
Twister
He took Twister instead of this.
yeah, he was working on this.
What a bullet to dodge.
He was working on this, and then they rejected his budget request, and he dropped the project and went to Twister, which
Wow.
good move.
I mean,
Okay.
that's it's like Jodorowsky's Dune. It's like the same thing. It's the same thing.
Stuck in development hell for many years, I think, with because I think that script ended up there was like an alien menace. Godzilla was the protector of humankind, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like an actual Godzilla movie.
From what I've read, like that script actually sounds kind of awesome, and it sounds like it was more true to like the original Godzilla movies, and it actually would have been more watchable.
Because I got the impression that the people who made this movie like never actually saw a Godzilla movie before in their life. They had no idea.
They didn't like Godzilla. Like they had no interest in the movie. They even said they're like, we don't know what to do with it.
And it shows.
Yeah.
Was this the Terry Rossio and the guys who did the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, so Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio were the
Terry.
first ones attached to this. They wrote the original script, which was the Alien vs. Godzilla project. And it actually sounds like it was pretty good. And I lost my train of thought.
That seems more plausible as if it got to Roland Emmerich in that version, then he just makes Independence Day with Godzilla.
Yep.
Oh, I know what I was
That almost seems
That
like we
would
got
have
there.
been good.
That might not. I still think there's opportunity for this. We get 98 Godzilla back, and we bring him in. That's Independence Day 3.
And to top it, Stan Winston was creating the monsters.
Yeah, I saw on the internet. You can see what Stan Winston's Godzilla would have looked like, and it looks
more like the Godzilla you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's recognizably
That's pretty
Godzilla
cool.
because I think I heard, and maybe Holly can back me up on this, that when the because I believe it was TriStar eventually secured the rights.
Yep.
When they went to Toho gave them a list of like, this is what Godzilla is and what he isn't, and this is like our strict he must be.
They gave them a memo that was 4 pages, single spaced, a very particular he has to look like this, he can't have this, he has to have this, you can't mention these sorts of politics, like the whole it was insane. So many details.
That sort of thing came back with Godzilla vs. Kong as well.
Yeah.
It was actually those same details were implemented in there too, and there's one thing like Godzilla isn't supposed to emote.
Right.
Really? Well, he did.
So they slip it into the movie, and then in this one he definitely emotes.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like watching this, you're like, okay, so they just threw that out. They're like, no, to Toho, we'll do exactly what you say. And then they got back home, and then they
then
shredded that
wiped
memo,
their ass with it, and tossed it.
Wow.
What the hell?
Yeah, the Jean de Bont version, that script was more like Moby Dick, it was more philosophical, more like man's mission, not like necessarily like to destroy the beast, but just like their own vanity, and it sounds really
to face their own folly. Like
exactly.
that's exactly what Godzilla is supposed to be. He is a force of nature, not an animal running loose in the island of Manhattan.
Right.
Yeah, this is Ken Watanabe's entire role in the new Godzilla movie. Is to get across that idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think, that's the thing. I think his character is even named after the Doctor in the original Godzilla, but he's like at least there to kind of like both pay an homage to the origin of the character.
Yep.
Where this one, he's French Polynesia nuclear testing base.
That too, that Godzilla is clearly absolutely tied to the US's nuclear bombing of Japan. That is what he represents,
right? And
that he is a reminder of that, and also represents like the world's kind of love-hate relationship with nuclear power. We need it to it's so beneficial to us, but also can wipe us out. And yet Roland Emmerich's like, what if France did it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't America.
Yeah.
And instead, every time we get the U.S. military showing, we're like, it's like this really good upbeat music. And then they proceed to bumble everything.
Right.
Hey, you're talking about my man O'Neill.
Yeah, except O'Neill.
O'Neill's the hero of this movie, goddammit.
Sergeant O'Neill.
Is and Colonel Hicks Best
God bless them.
characters.
Yeah.
Who were they? So Sergeant O'Neill, because I mean, obviously we hear that this movie stars Matthew Broderick, but the lower guys on
We'll
the
get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
well, I just want to pay special kudos to Sergeant O'Neill. It's the actor
Yes.
Doug Savant, who you probably know from his role for years on Desperate Housewives, but I'll always remember
other
him
one,
as the bully from the greatest 80s rock and roll horror movie, Trick or Treat. That's right. He was Trick or Treat.
It always comes back to Trick or Treat with
Any
Kyle
chance
Street.
I had.
Always.
Trick or Treat V or Lynch at some point.
Yeah,
David
I was
Lynch.
very happy to see him in this movie. I'm like, hey, look at that, Doug Savant.
I forgot he was in Desperate Housewives.
I would love
that one,
if
and
he showed up in the next Godzilla movie.
that would be great.
That would be the
Again,
best.
there's little things that I don't really want to see
Is-
another Godzilla
is
movie,
he
but
gonna
there's
be the-
little things. If he was in it, I would go see
Is
it
he
for
going to
him.
be the one that they go to and he comes out of retirement?
No. He's a
Okay.
general now. He has gone from sergeant to general.
Right. This was the
O'Neill.
event that gave him confidence to go further in the military. He's like, I can
but
do
I
this.
but I like to believe that he retired as a general. And now they're like, you got to come back. And he's like,
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, this is where they like.
I've seen too much, and he's catatonic, and they're like, oh, come on, they bring out the lighter.
The lighter.
It's just we'll fucking burn you. Where is Godzilla?
Well, really quick, I guess, before we get off the origins of this thing and into
Right.
the movie itself, the design for so once they threw out the design plan from Toho, they brought Emmerich had worked with who's the responsible party for who Godzilla or what Godzilla looks like.
Yeah.
Who did this to you?
Patrick Tatopoulos.
There you go.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
I had some nice things to say about this movie. I don't think I have anything to say about this movie anymore.
Okay, so obviously the reaction is because in the movie the lead character is Nick Tatopoulos, named after the creature's creator.
So much angrier than I was before.
Yeah, Tatopoulos is like, I mean, he's responsible, I think, for the design philosophy that has created every single goddamn Hollywood monster that you've seen since the 90s, right? The Independence Day aliens. He created the Cloverfield monster,
He did.
if I'm not mistaken,
He did.
and he's still
makes a
working
lot-
in the underworld, and
Oh yeah.
Despite the flaws in this, he's done a lot.
he's done a lot.
He's done a lot. There's some
Yeah.
good stuff out there.
Honestly, if you gave me this creature design and it wasn't
Any other
called-
movie? Yes.
it wasn't called Godzilla, it had potential to look cool.
Could
I
be fun.
agree.
Yes,
I agree.
Could be good, but as soon as you're like, what if we called him Godzilla though?
Yeah.
So it brings up the point. Do we want something done over and over again, or do we want something new? Because it seems like we don't want something new. We want it how it was before.
Yeah, because this is basically the story of a giant lizard coming out of the, created by a nuclear explosion, comes out and destroys a city.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's...
This is an argument we get into with the new Star Wars movies.
I mean,
do we-
with Halloween.
With Halloween,
with
do we
everything,
want
so.
things repeated or do we want new content? Because when we get new content, we get pissed.
I think we all prefer that same thing, little twist. Like I think we're all just
Okay.
happy with that.
Well, actually, now I'm thinking about it, because, I mean, the Japanese basically, I mean, they, obviously did brace a standalone monster in Godzilla 1984, but then the newest one that they did is Shin Godzilla, and that's also basically the same story again. But even you were saying the nuclear anxiety. That movie, like if you watch that TV show, the HBO show Chernobyl, which is about like a nuclear accident, how
Watch that
Right.
show.
how it's dealt with is basically how it's the Shin Godzilla is like how the city deals with this nuclear
Right.
thing in their midst.
Right.
It's really actually
I was
fascinating.
going to say that I might want to see because you put Godzilla in Chernobyl, I'm in.
Yeah,
that is it.
They feel like the same story. Almost. It's
all right,
weird.
I'm in for Shin
And that
Godzilla.
one too, like Shin Godzilla, like he also the villain is less Godzilla and more bureaucratic red tape. And it's like, there's your commentary. And Godzilla's like design in that too is very like burnt.
I was going to say that's the more red Godzilla ever.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that
He's
one looked
supposed
good.
to embody
Okay.
more of like the victims of nuclear.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they go
I'm
pretty
down for this.
radical
That's
with his
intense, yeah.
design in that one too.
Also,
but-
if you've watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, they completely
You just said 5 words I didn't understand.
There we go. Somebody out there will be like that. So
Okay.
the creator of that series.
He's talking to you, that one person.
Yep.
Todd.
I know who you are.
Todd, this mythical Todd. I want to
Made
find
that.
him.
No, nobody likes Todd.
Okay,
but,
fair.
Well, we thank you for listening, Todd.
There's an entire scene in that series that because it's the same creator, he completely recreates it, even down to how he edited it. I can speak.
That's okay.
Uses like the music he uses in it. It's wonderful. Like the movie's great on its own, but if you know that connection to it, it makes that scene a lot more fun.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, I'm down for Shin Godzilla.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
It is. And unfortunately, we're not going to get any more of that.
Oh yeah, that's not like a new era.
Yeah, they pretty much they set it up to be, and then they kind of axed that one.
I was kind of surprised that there was like, you know, if you have like the rights to a character, because obviously Godzilla now has moved over to, I mean, America has them again, right, with the monster verse, you know, and the 3 films that they've done there. And it's like, I didn't know that, you know, it's like Toho can still make a Godzilla movie while we're making Godzilla movies.
Yeah. So it was in, I think it was in like a weird kind of development loophole bit. Like
it's like Sony and Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
basically the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. So this movie stars.
Well, stars is being generous, Colin.
Godzilla, obviously.
Matthew Broderick.
Yes.
An obvious choice for a Godzilla movie.
No. In 1998, yes.
Okay, an obvious choice for a nerdy scientist. Okay, I guess.
Let's put it this way. Like I said about Paris Hilton and House of Wax, he's not the problem with this movie, I don't think.
He's just there along for the ride.
He's not the problem with this movie, but he also doesn't have star power.
Yeah.
He doesn't help it, yes.
You know, if you're not talking about Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick has no star power.
Yeah, I think that's
the computer wore tennis shoes. Thank you very much.
What was he coming off of?
You're right. I'm sorry.
yeah, because I can't remember if it was because the producers hadn't happened yet, right? It's like, why was Matthew Broderick? Because obviously Jean Reno's in the movie. He was in The Professional, and that's why, you know,
He did The Cable Guy.
there.
All right,
Okay.
let's not all forget Election. I just got to put that out
Election's
there.
good.
Because Election
I'm
is the
sorry.
one. It's for me, that is Matthew Broderick. Like I can almost not see him. It was nice to see him in this, to see him in like a different flavor of Matthew Broderick, because I only see him as that fucking teacher from that movie, and I love it.
I will say, like, Election and The Cable Guy, both of them are very dear to my heart. I'm not going to lie.
Catapulted him into Godzilla. That's the one where he's like,
but-
well, I want to make money though.
I mean,
Right.
you know, there's the whole manslaughter thing. I mean, there's that. He kind of killed people. But, you know, we'll just brush that under the rug.
Yeah. He's surrounded by a galaxy of supporting characters. This is because basically the movie is it's written, this version of it's written by Dean Devlin, I think.
Right. Yeah. After Elliot and Rossio were, they did their like final rewrites after Jean de Bont left, and then when Emmerich was brought on, he brought in Dean Devlin because he worked with him on like everything.
Yeah,
he's his producer.
Yeah. Because we also mentioned they did Stargate, right? That was also
they did Stargate. Yeah.
And so, those guys work together. I think it's like the whole creative team, Totopoulos, like Volker Ungel, this visual effects guy. It's like you got the same crew that did all the other movies. Independence Day is a huge hit. So it's like, well, if you're going to blow up a city, Roland Emmerich's your guy, right?
Yeah.
So he basically...
I don't disagree with that logic.
Yeah.
But the script, I don't know, is it me or like it?
Does it suck?
Well, no, I'm saying it bears a strong resemblance to the kind of beats of Independence Day.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, especially considering it came like right after it. Like this was his.
They basically, I mean, as we've already figured out, they threw out the other script like completely. They like to say like, oh, we borrowed a couple things, but I don't know what those things were.
No.
To be honest,
they actively made sure that this movie, as it said, this was the worst disaster since the Twin Tower bombings in 1984.
Right. Yikes.
Oh, guys.
Oh no.
But they have a flavor. They have a look, and it has transferred over from Independence Day to this.
Yeah. And they bring in a bunch of cast, like I guess they did in Independence Day, because that's their thing. I mean, they also have that, this movie employs that, I guess, that borrowed from Spielberg, right? We're going to delay the reveal of your central creature for a while. So there's all these, I think it's like 40, it was like at least half an hour. It felt
like
longer
40,
than that.
that's like 40 minutes.
Before you get a good solid look at this thing. We're going to talk, I suppose, about how the CGI in this movie holds up. But a lot of the scenes leading up to this, right, as the world kind of becomes aware of these disruptions in certain areas, we get like kind of a little nod to the Japanese at the beginning. There's a Japanese fishing boat that's attacked. Then there's a couple of trawlers out there that are attacked. A submarine, I think, or it was a shipping boat.
Yeah, it was a shipping boat.
And then so eventually it's like, oh no, kind of like it's slowing down, the ship as it approaches the earth. This one is, it's approaching New York. It's on the path, right?
It's slowing down, sir.
Yeah. It feels almost like we were getting those scenes in early in this movie.
It is. Like, that's it. Yes. Because I kept saying the Independence Day counterparts during those scenes in here. I kept saying dialogue from that movie during this time. Yes, that part in that movie. Yes.
My question would be, would this movie, if you took out Matthew Broderick and made Tatopoulos be played by Jeff Goldblum,
oh yeah,
would it be better?
Yes, it would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Better with
Hands
him.
down.
I would love that movie. I think.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised that they didn't go to like some of those people and like, hey, we worked together the last time and like here's another role. Like, why don't you?
He would be like, that is one big pile of fish.
Wrap it up, everybody. We're good.
I knew it was perfect before I said it.
All right, so that's it for Godzilla.
Thank you very much for joining us. And wow.
All right, I think I retire. You guys keep going on. I think I'm done.
Well, I guess okay. So we're saying that they delay the reveal of the monster for so long because this was a. I mean, you guys remember the marketing push for this movie. There was like they weren't going to show you what the creature looked like until it opened, and so there was all this like
eyeballs.
That was one of the selling points for TriStar to sign on to this. They saw the marketing prospects.
Did they put footprints places?
Yeah, they did. They did footprints places. They had one of the best ones was they had like the full scale foot on the side of buses.
Yeah.
Saying it's the size of a bus.
His foot is the size of his bus.
And all their marketing, like the Taco Bell was huge. The Taco Bell was massive.
The dog met Godzilla. That's what I remember.
They purposely...
Yes. Yes.
They purposely only showed parts of it. They never showed like the full creature on any of the marketing. It was just parts, like the eye or the foot or different...
Now, marketing campaign, or was some of that based on like... Somebody's gonna be fucking pissed of what we did to Godzilla. We're gonna hide it just so we don't get any some bad word of mouth pre-movie. Like, you think that could have been part of it?
I think it's you want people to go see your movie because you know what it's like.
I think it's just like teasing people.
Yeah, people know what Godzilla looks like, and it's been Japan's like major export for 50 years. So
this is their way of saying, well, what are we going to make it look like? What's the American version going to look like?
Yeah.
You know,
and of course,
you just give them an eye, give them a foot.
Size does matter.
I've got the taglines.
Right. Do we have taglines?
There were 5 taglines for this movie. First one from the creators of Independence Day.
Of course.
Size does matter.
Yeah.
1998, the year of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Something big is happening.
Nope.
And the city that never sleeps just got a wake up call.
Yeah, size does matter. It's probably the best one.
Yeah.
They could have said like something smells fishy.
But they're not sleeping, so why would they need a wake up call? It's a city that never sleeps.
Exactly.
Okay, so Matthew Broderick, who does he play in this movie? How does he get involved in the plot?
He's the worm guy, Colin.
He's the worm guy.
I don't see. I mean, just saying that, I'm like, how does that connect to?
He is a biologist studying worms.
He's studying
in Chernobyl,
right?
The effects of radiation.
Effects of radiation on worms,
on biology.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's
17-inch worms.
Right, and so we can take the worms, extrapolate that.
17
Godzilla.
times the size.
The worms have grown because of the radiation to 17%.
17. That's it. I knew there was a 17 in there.
Yeah. So he's recruited by the army.
And then mocked mercilessly for the rest of the movie. That's what happens.
Right.
Hey, you fucking nerd, come help us.
Also, let's bring in the biologist and then not listen to anything he says.
Yeah.
Let's also all actively say his name incorrectly. Tadpolopoulos.
Yeah.
Right.
Give me a second. I won't remember the real one, so it shouldn't be that hard.
Right.
Well, I mean, I assume that's like a deep in joke only for people who know the Patrick Tatopoulos, right? It's bizarre. There's another in joke in this which involves Mayor Ebert.
Yes.
Right? Played by Michael Lerner and a lookalike for Gene Siskel.
I enjoyed knowing that it was Siskel and Ebert, which I haven't seen this movie in forever.
Yeah.
So I knew he was in it, but I didn't know it was going to be Ebert and Gene Siskel, but I love it. I love their interplay knowing it's those two. Or they're playing those two.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like, why do I keep you around? It's like, you know what I think of your plan?
Yeah, thumbs down. Thumbs down. Yeah.
So it's fun.
And that was because of a bad review or something, right?
Sure,
so, I mean,
right.
That's
why not
like,
just,
Roger Ebert was sitting there going like, I've arrived. right? Godzilla.
I think if you're in good spirits about it, I think you have to just be like, you don't get put in a movie like this.
I know.
Something is
I
going
forgot
on.
we should have gone back and looked at his review of the movie to see.
That's true. Damn, I wonder what he thought.
It's just a footprint
Yeah.
It's just a thumbs down.
Yeah.
It's just a thumbs down.
made out of like fish emojis or something.
Well, the plot gets complicated because
reasons.
Nick Tatopoulos is reintroduced to his long-lost love,
His
Audrey.
college sweetie.
Audrey,
Yeah.
she's played by,
Maria Patillo?
and wasn't she like in Coyote Ugly or something? Maybe not. I could be wrong. So I don't remember what she was in, but she was in something.
I haven't seen her.
The only thing that I
outside of
recognize her from was, do you guys remember the movie Bye Bye Love?
Yes.
She was in that. That's the only thing I recognize.
Who else was in Bye Bye Love? I'm trying to remember it. I just remember the goddamn
fucking
song.
hell.
Was that?
I'm pretty sure I
Randy
used to
Quaid's
watch
in
it
it.
all the time.
Oh God!
Randy Quaid's in it.
I love.
There's a connection to
Keep
Roland
going.
Emmerich again.
What, the fucking guy from Mad About You?
Paul
Paul
Reiser.
Reiser?
Yeah, he's in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
now I remember.
Okay,
that.
so she was in Chaplin. She was in True Romance, Natural Born Killers. She's been in a lot of stuff. But
Wow.
So
she's
like
just not
minor
super
parts, and
memorable.
this was like
Yeah.
her first leading lady part. First, I don't know if it was.
Is she leading?
Don't say leading lady part.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
So
Oh,
leading
that's
lady
not-
could arguably be said as Godzilla.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
because we find out strange things about as we're deviating completely from the Japanese canon of what the creature is. What do we find out about Godzilla?
We find out that Godzilla is pregnant and is actually born pregnant later on. Once it lays all the eggs, all the creatures are born pregnant.
This was a bombshell to me. And just Matthew Broderick's talking into a camera like, these creatures are born pregnant. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah, he says that he goes to a pharmacy to get a bunch of pregnancy tests. He's like, I'm going to test the blood on this. And they work. It's also the quickest pregnancy test
of all time
ever.
Yeah, not realistic
Maybe
whatsoever.
he, like,
Most unrealistic part of the
He's
movie.
a biologist. Maybe he like zooped it up or something. I don't know.
Oh, he just was like, his beakers. He probably had extra stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's because it's Godzilla blood or whatever.
Oh,
it
it's
shows up.
radiation.
Like
It's
this.
atomic.
It's
Right?
because I think it's probably there's just more of those proteins. that
He's like,
looking
do you have
for
an
in there."
atomic pregnancy test?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, we know that your atomic clock is ticking. You got to have babies soon, right?
Yeah, because it seems like we were already doing the cliche of like you have one monster that you come to the movie to see, and then before the end of the
Man,
movie,
Michaela would hate this. Not only are there two, there's 50.
There's over 200
She would hate
eggs.
it.
Michaela hates the more than one monster reveal. She hates it. She also hates Matthew Broderick, for the record. I was supposed to make sure. I was supposed to make sure to represent.
Let it be known.
We are not, so we're not
She
totally
has
a pro
not.
Broderick.
She has not
podcast.
forgiven the manslaughter.
Oh, okay.
wow. Okay.
That's fine.
But I agree, he's usually forgettable. I'll agree with that.
Well, so I mean, like this, the relationship with I guess Audrey.
She is not a leading lady, by the way.
No.
Like this actress, I'm sorry, like not
Holly,
leading lady.
what about all those adorable face scrunches she does?
Oh my god!
Like-
That's all she does this whole goddamn movie. Scrunch her face. That's it.
What's
Audrey's a reporter, quote
I
unquote.
was going to say, what's her
Quote,
character arc? What,
She's an assistant who wants to become.
She works for Matt Lauer, pretty much.
She does. She works.
She's
for
been
Matt
an
Lauer.
assistant for 3 years.
She has been sexually
I think that's-
harassed for 3 years.
That's also maybe more her. Nope, I can't say that. Sorry. Wow. No. Hold on. We need to get this for the record. I was talking about being an assistant for 3 years.
Okay.
As a job opportunity, she should have moved on from this. That is what I was referring to. Now I won't say anything for the rest of the show.
She couldn't
Let's
move
just
on
make-
because it was called the glass ceiling.
Yeah. I want to make that clear. Okay. Continue on.
well, maybe they were going out because I mean, obviously, this movie is like very New York centric. Harry Shearer plays her boss, or I guess the Anchorman character.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another Simpsons connection because who else is in this movie?
Hank Azaria.
Who does he in the movie?
He's Animal.
He's animal
Animal the cameraman.
That's right, because all
fantastic
TV
job.
news cameramen have funny nicknames.
Not when I worked at the TV station.
The good old days are gone.
Yeah, I don't think it ever. But Animal, right, is her devoted cameraman, follows her around every kind of like what's her for Gale Weathers and Scream?
Right.
Kenny,
Yeah.
right.
Kenny.
He's Kenny.
Yeah.
Yes, Kenny. He is the Kenny.
He's a little more proactive than Kenny.
Yes, way more proactive.
Very New York.
He's adventurous. Very New York. Yes.
He's kind of the one dragging her around and be like, let's do this. Let's do the story. You know?
Come on, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yes. And he is doing very New York, but he's doing it well.
Yeah.
It works for me.
I mean, let's just be real. No, we never doubt Hank Azaria.
I mean, yeah.
We
I can't
never doubt
remember.
the man.
Like, obviously, he had other comedian roles, but like, would he been? I mean, this would be considered a dramatic part, even though it's he's comic relief or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He did. What's the Liev Schreiber show?
Oh,
Ray Donovan.
He did Ray Donovan for a while, I believe. He was kind of a quirky dude, but he did Ray Donovan. Also, what was he did the sports anchor show where he was on like TBS.
I think
with Amanda Peet.
God, I forgot about that.
I forgot about it too. Did for like 3-4 seasons.
Yeah. No
Okay,
idea.
moving on.
No idea what it was called.
No,
idea.
forgot. But
Hank's area, call in and let us know.
yeah. Really,
Please
what
do.
are you?
Well, so Nick is like
Sean, send him a tweet.
he's trying to go and like figure out like where this monster is headed. She's a reporter.
disappeared.
She's trying
Because
to
it
become
is
a reporter.
hiding on
It's
the island.
hiding in Manhattan.
Well, we have the big scene, I guess, where the thing actually comes, ashore and then goes through the city. And this is like a big, sequence because I think they had, wasn't that they had like the helicopter chase? This is like your 40-minute into the movie, like thing where
Because you have Godzilla show up and then he's like, he's just kind of running amok initially, steps like right around Hank Azaria and then keeps going.
Right.
And then disappears.
Yeah.
Because he's hiding in one of the buildings. They're like, we got to evacuate Manhattan. And that's 3 million people. All lines in this movie that they felt necessary to tell
Exposition.
you. So, again, but like I told Colin and you guys during the middle of this, they worked it better than any of the DCEU guys do.
Yeah.
With 2 lines of dialogue in 5 minutes, they're like, it's evacuated. We can destroy whatever we want.
Like, great.
That's simple. Godzilla did it better than them.
yeah, take that, Man of Steel.
That's great. 2 hours. I don't need to see people leaving. Don't need to see it.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't need to see it.
I think
Unless
like
it's Jeff Goldblum and Judd Hirsch, then I can watch them leave.
I want to see them leave.
Yes.
I want a
See
movie.
them leave.
I want a movie of just them in a car.
I think part 2 was that for most of it for Judd Hirsch,
that's-
and it didn't end up very well. He was on a bus.
He was on a bus
I
with a
want
bunch of
to.
I hate that you're making me remember this movie.
I want a non-Independence Day movie of them in a car.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, once the creature actually like disappears, right? Then it's like, I mean, I guess like the plot is like, are these 2 lovebirds going to get together? I mean, like seriously, that is a large chunk of the movie, and I'm like,
And
didn't we come here for a Godzilla movie? And you're
Godzilla's
telling me
actually the
Godzilla
best.
disappeared somehow in Manhattan?
We got to give the humans an opportunity to figure out how to defeat him, and we have to stick with them for the next 45 minutes.
He's the best matchmaker. He's like, this
Godzilla brings people together.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then they find ways to tear each other apart because, damn it, that's drama.
The way Godzilla tears apart the asphalt of the street, which
What a metaphor.
When he decides to actually, when they're like, okay, they figure out that they can lure him with fish because that's the other thing. Godzilla is like supposed to be this like force of nature who just shows up, but this Godzilla is like, is there fish here?
Right.
Yeah.
He's literally
It's literally just a zoo creature.
Hey, it's heard you guys got a fish market. Where's it at?
Yeah, that's why he comes aboard.
My Godzilla's a stoner, just looking for food in the middle of the night. He's like,
yeah.
I got kids to feed, man. Where's the fish?
So why did this take place on like Fisherman's Wharf or something? Why did it take place in New York?
Well, I think it wasn't at the fish market that it destroyed at the very beginning of the.
It's got to be because it's got to be. Okay, first of all, this Godzilla movie is when they got this and they were going to make it. They're like, this may be our only shot. We have to put everything in this movie, and this movie has to be in New York because you got to have Godzilla tearing down New York and everything.
That's true. Yeah.
That's why I guess when they did the new ones, they're like, okay, he's actually coming from the other ocean. He's coming in like on the West Coast. But damn it, if we're doing an American Godzilla, New York is our Tokyo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Godzilla decides to hunt like after fish. They're like, all right, let's lure him with fish, and they got to start opening up manhole covers so he can smell it.
He can smell it.
And when he decides to come out of the ground, you hear it's literally them just tearing fabric.
It's just
a fabric tear. That's
It really
the sound
is.
of asphalt spreading.
And there was that one delicate scene that I enjoyed where Matthew Broderick also tries to communicate with the creature as it busts up through the asphalt. And it's like, it recognizes this little tiny, like ant-sized person in front of it and bends down. You always have this in these giant monster movies.
Yeah, it's like the King Kong moment, right? That's exactly what it is.
For that, we got to do it for scale, so you know how big they are.
Right.
Which still, a lot of us stuff
not that big. Even at that, you're just like, he's like, like the fact that Godzilla can actively have this kind of moment with them.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
I thought it'd be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Well, how does the representation of the movie of Godzilla hold up in the movie? Like when you were watching, so I mean, obviously it was cutting edge in 1998. You're watching it now in 2021. How?
I have an equivalent. I look at this movie now with its CGI, and it's because you can kind of see the composites shots of what real people in the CGI is. And now I just relegate this to, this is an old monster movie.
Yeah.
This is a black and white 50s monster movie where you can tell like they shot a big version of a squid, even though it's just a regular squid, and they just put the people in front of it. Like that's the feeling I get from this now. That is what the CGI looks like to me. So it is now just a 50s horror movie. We're just like, they put the people in there.
But when we watch a 50s horror movie, we like the charm of it.
This is true, but
is this charming to you?
What I'm saying is
because of the craft, you're saying, right?
Right,
It's like
yeah.
you feel like there was actually guys making this where CG somehow, even though there are guys like keyframing the shit out of it.
Right,
and,
because keep in mind, this is after Jurassic Park.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that's where I'm putting it into the charming category. I think because I can't. I can't take this seriously.
Because of the effects?
Because of the effects and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I know. But so instead of sitting here like being like, God, this is dog shit, I'm like, I'm reframing in my mind what it is now.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you because the whole movie we were laughing and having a good time.
Yes.
So I don't disagree with you.
And that's what I'm doing.
Right, yeah.
Because I can't just sit here and hate this movie. So I have to do something with it.
Sure.
Sean, I applaud you that you can find that joy in there.
I'm trying. I have a lot of anxiety in my life. I'm trying to cut it down wherever I can.
No, I'm really impressed with your positivity right now.
Right. I can't get upset with it. You just got to reframe yourself.
Yeah.
You know what? You change, not the movies.
This is a really healthy step for you.
Thank you.
For me, this is the first time I've watched this movie in 23 years.
Yeah, I think me too.
I watched it once. I learned that movies could disappoint me.
Right. Is this the movie that did it?
Yep.
This movie was the first movie I saw in a theater that childhood Joe realized that movies can suck.
Yeah.
And it was...
Wait, did you write in? Are you in our mailbag?
So this...
but this is why I invited him.
Because this movie broke me. And the CG for me, like Holly said, Jurassic Park had come out, so we know it can be awesome.
Yep.
Starship Troopers had also come out, and that CG still holds up to this day and just looks fantastic.
Yep.
And then this happened, and Roland Emmerich said, what if we spent money on Rain?
Rain.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Rain.
Yeah.
The
whole movie Rains, which I know from, just hearing about other filmmakers talking about, like, it's like the biggest, like, problem that we did with our shoot was bringing in all those rain towers.
Jurassic Park.
But at least it wasn't the whole movie. It's the whole movie. It rains. This big, huge, like I
understand
monstrous
picking
production.
I understand picking one set piece and be like, rain would look so cool. Let's just do it. But the whole movie?
Yeah.
Why?
Just creates a logistical nightmare.
Except when we're in Panama. Panama and Tahiti,
True.
we don't have rain.
That is true.
It's honestly, I think it's cover for the graphics.
You think it's to make it look better?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
I mean,
like a filter. It's like a built-in filter.
Yeah, basically, yeah. 'Cause
Okay, I gotcha.
You can hide it more in the gray. It's never like fully bright and sunny when you see this guy, so you can hide it in the gray and the dark and everything.
You get some mist.
You can, although because I was begging for dark at one point in this movie,
Yes, you
although
were.
dark showed up and it didn't help a whole lot.
Godzilla has like a glow, and you know what? It's because he or she is pregnant. They glow. Pregnant women glow.
Not because he's radioactive, because he's pregnant.
Pregnant glow.
I like that.
Yep.
Which why?
Know your worth, queen.
I know.
Well, they end up there's and Jean Reno, he said, is in the movie. He's also playing a French Secret Service agent who's trying to cover up the French government's.
He plays this character in everything after The Professional, right?
Yeah.
Like he plays this in everything.
He is yes.
I think he's a little more having a little more fun in this one.
True.
Than the other ones.
I'll give you that.
I think he ends up being a little more serious in the other ones.
like
That's
Roland
true.
or something like that.
That's true.
So once they do kill Godzilla like midway through the movie, right?
There they.
Well, there's like this big submarine because eventually we get like a marine Godzilla,
Right.
which is always like
Think of the action figures, Colin.
Yeah.
Play sets.
No, they kill him and you're looking like, wait, this movie still has 45 minutes left. What the
like,
hell?
yeah.
What could go wrong?
Well, because we still have to deal with the drama of our Nick and Audrey going to get together after she
We don't
steals.
care, Colin.
What are you talking
This
about?
movie thinks you do.
Yeah, because we're aiming
her
toward
face
it.
scrunch.
Roland Emmerich thinks I do.
Yeah.
And he is wrong, sir.
When they have
Holly,
that kiss at the end, the
Audrey
music
betrayed
swells.
him.
Yeah.
She's got to make it up to him.
Audrey's a liar.
Audrey
sucks.
is kind of a bad person.
Yes.
Should she be redeemed?
No.
Because
He
she's
needs to
told
leave
like
her ass
early
forever.
on.
No.
Yeah.
She left him without saying a word after he
Yeah.
proposed to her, and then 8 years later, she's like, "Oh, hey,
then
I'm
she
back."
fucks him over 8
and
years
then
later?
fucks him over, and he loses his job.
She takes his top secret,
Yeah.
his like top secret video recording, and is like, I'm
Right.
going to give this to the news.
Which I liked the little Sony plug because this is a Sony.
Right. Everything.
Yeah.
Sony computers, Sony TVs.
Yeah.
Sony,
Yeah.
Blockbuster.
I think that's a rule.
Sprint.
If you do,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're the only ones that make those
In
like
case you
Trinitron
forgot,
monitors and shit.
in case you forgot, you're watching Sony.
Yeah, I remember that at the time when I first saw this movie. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, everything everywhere." Yeah,
Spared no expense.
there it is. So yeah, there's a scene with a submarine. Godzilla is supposedly killed. We get a bunch of underwater shots of the thing swimming by. They've done those in the new Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And
We
all that
related it
stuff.
to
They look a little
the,
better.
Alien Resurrection underwater scene.
Right,
which
yeah.
Yeah.
felt very
comparable.
reminiscent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get full body shots, and there's no like they don't give any kind of diffusion on how big it is. So it's like you just see the CGI thing like swimming past your
Yes.
screen.
Yes.
You know, and it's like,
Yeah, it's like give me something to put it against. Ugh.
yeah. And so that, of course, leads to our third act, which is the culmination of the pregnancy arc.
Hey, you know what everybody loves? Raptors.
Yeah.
Yep. And what if you had 200 of them?
I'm listening.
Slightly bulkier raptors.
Slightly bulkier. They also, what do? They're kind of adorable. They
They're
like
kind of
popcorn.
adorable. And I do appreciate that they actually started using animatronics at this point.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is
I enjoyed that.
yes.
I enjoyed that.
I don't know if it adds a lot of length to this movie, but
does.
I also do like that we have. There's only so much you can do with a giant Godzilla running around destroying
This is
things.
when
Like
it
we
got
get
kind
more down to a
It got
more
kind
on
of
the-
Jurassic Parky.
It did it more onto a human level
yeah.
where there's it. I mean, it really did.
Raptors in
Like
the
we're
kitchen?
running from
Yeah.
raptors and all that. It did
Yeah,
turn
that
into
scene
that.
was 5 minutes, and this one was like
Yeah,
30 or
A
something.
lot.
Jesus Christ.
There's
Another
adds a
scene
lot of
that
length.
actually, like a scene that actually makes sense to have human interaction outside of the military.
right. Yes.
It's
Right.
like, okay, there's clearly the size and they can actually interact in this and are a
Right.
threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like they're in more danger because I mean, Godzilla was disappearing for 45 minutes at this point in the
Yup.
movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus,
For some reason
more toys.
More toys.
Oh, that's right.
So you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the
yeah.
egg toy with little ones coming out.
Yep. And you get the one like I had that was like kind of dark. There were like different shades of them. And of
Yeah.
course, they all had battle damage.
Battle damage.
The key of the 90s toy line.
Love it.
Well, I'm curious when the toys, like, did the toys
You
come
like
out
this
like
toy?
on
You want it fucked
opening
up?
day, or did they give it like 3
I
weeks or
think
something?
They came
you-
out like a little bit after. It wasn't like they do now where you'll get all like in the new Godzilla movies, you're like, what are the monsters going to be? And you're like, oh, if I go to Target, I can just see the toys
Yeah,
right here.
yeah,
That's
okay.
what they look like. So
Yeah.
back then they actually like released them after.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
They were very careful about their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is going to give you glimpses. Nothing is going to give a reveal until after the movie.
I kind
and
of
then
like
you
that
get
'cause-
your Godzilla hand puppet.
Nice. I mean, it does feel like more people maybe like were aware of or had seen this
Yeah.
movie than maybe even like the new Godzilla movies maybe put together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you could go out on the street and like somebody had seen Godzilla, this Godzilla movie.
I
It was-
still haven't seen the latest one.
Okay, there you go. You're pretty
Yeah.
well.
You're fine.
I know. I saw King of the Monsters.
You're fine.
But I
That
haven't seen.
one, not so good.
I know. We've talked about that one.
I was gonna say, let's not get into that.
No, that's a whole.
Then
other
I will start
episode.
yelling. Remember those healthy choices I was making earlier? They will
Yeah,
go away.
that's a whole other episode.
Well, they do. So these animatronic creatures are pursuing, and there's a lot. It feels like there's a lot of them. Like it feels like this is a sizable amount of the budget to reproduce all of these creatures.
Yes.
And then there's a bunch of CGI ones in Madison Square Garden, and then the military has
ruined
to
the
come.
garden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New York to the bone. Thank you, Hank Azaria.
You trashed the garden.
Can we say, though, that it's Sergeant Neil who comes through with O'Neill?
Get it right. He's the hero.
Yes.
That's right. How's he the hero? What's he do?
Because
He's the most entertaining person in this movie.
In every situation in this movie.
He is the most entertaining person in this movie, and
he's actively the one that knew like how to help them like track where Godzilla was going to go, because as they go past O'Neill in a taxi,
right.
Matthew Broderick just for some reason rips off the identification tags from the dashboard and just tosses it to him. He's like, O'Neill!
Yeah.
And O'Neill,
fucking Sherlock Holmes knows exactly what he's talking about.
Flabbergasted the entire movie, and
he's doing the best he can.
And then he did the best. Paid off.
See, I like to believe that that's his strong suit. He's like a detective kind of mindset. He's not up against dealing with monsters. That's not his forte.
Yeah.
He's a detective guy. That's like, my theory.
He's like, my dad owns a cab company.
Yeah.
I know that they have all the individual tracking codes for their radio seat.
Yeah.
If he was a real, he'd be like, I used to drive a fucking cab.
Yeah.
This is his niche. Yeah.
And so they can talk to them while they're leading Godzilla on this big, because Godzilla's not dead, it turns out.
What?
What twist? Godzilla in like the most emotional scene of this entire movie.
Well, this is after we get a few, because there's a few great lines in this, because they're the lines that the actors, the reason why you take a job like this, like you get the paycheck and everything, but also just like the lines you get to shout at people. Yeah, what did he say? Is like, you heard me. I want you to blow up Madison Square Garden, which is, and that was a turn towards the camera movie. He's like, you heard me.
The camera pans in
as it's going. Yes,
because they also told they're like, where are the F-18s? They're almost space. Well, tell them to turn around.
Yeah.
He gets to yell a lot of cool lines.
It's solid.
Worth it.
Yeah.
And Godzilla comes up out of the wreckage of Madison Square Garden.
Bombed Madison Square Garden.
At
the carcass of his babies,
and like nudges them and is livid. Which like,
I know, because it's
that
like,
is the most emotional shit.
Was it?
Yes.
But like, screw the Audrey, Nick, will they, won't they? Like Godzilla actually is like, oh, you killed my babies.
Yeah. I mean, this should not be news to you, Colin. Every movie we watch, people die. I don't give a shit. A dog dies, and I lose my goddamn mind.
Giant lizard
I
loses
lose
its babies.
my mind.
Well, it's because it was the animatronic lizards. We just got to see them be animatronic and then die.
You can't let me watch something hatch and then feel something when it dies.
You're on Team Godzilla here.
I was there for its entire life, Colin.
Put it on me. There was an imprint talk during this part of the movie.
There was, because wasn't this part of like a spin-off? Didn't they go with this?
You were talking about this, and I had no idea.
Okay.
Yes, so I was like, all I want right now is for Matthew Broderick to like imprint on this dinosaur or whatever.
It just won't leave him alone.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was like, that's the movie I want. And then Joe says,
funny that you guys say it, because yes, the best thing to come out of this movie is the animated series, still called Godzilla.
Okay, first of all, an animated series.
Oh, yeah,
based
I remember
off
this.
It's a direct sequel.
That's crazy.
And
this was a big deal.
Like
This was a big deal.
Kids or
Fox
something.
Kids. Yeah, guaranteed. Power Rangers, Godzilla.
Pretty sure you can still find it all on Netflix. It's unfortunately did not get a second season as it deserved, but
stand here.
I'm telling you, this is like, because the series is actually done as a Godzilla series. It picks up right after the end of the movie, where we get that instead, because Roland Emmerich, again, not a coward, doesn't make you wait till the end of the credits. He's like, there's still an egg left.
Yeah.
The show picks up as Godzilla dies in the suspension bridge. They go back into the tunnels and find that egg, find the Godzilla. It imprints on him and then like runs away. And then it comes back. It's like weeks or maybe months later. It's fully grown and finds him again. And now like, Nick is basically like, they're teamed up with Godzilla as he's like, or the G-Man, as he's like going around like fighting monsters. And he actually has his atomic breath. He actually like fights cool kaiju creatures.
So what you're saying is Theodore Rex was the precursor to this. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
No.
I don't.
No,
am I the only one who knows what this movie is?
Todd, you know what it is.
Todd, where are you?
Whoopie Goldberg.
Oh yeah,
teams up with a fucking T-Rex detective.
I forgot about that.
Shoes.
Yes. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I wiped that one from my.
Shut up.
No, not me. He wears the Letterman jacket and the hat.
Oh my god!
It's like a leftover from the Dinosaurs TV show.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's amazing.
That might. All right, fine. That's on the list. That might be coming. Holy shit! I didn't realize not many people knew about it. I must keep that alive.
Well, we've already done Tammy and the T-Rex. That's the next logical one.
You brought that one too. So yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, animated series imprinting Godzilla.
That's amazing.
That's what I want.
It's very much worth
I feel
a
like
watch.
it's like Turner and Hooch, but with a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Godzilla, whatever.
Totopoulos and Zilla, which also that's what I should say too. This Godzilla is not Godzilla.
No.
We will never get another Godzilla movie because this Godzilla is actually dead in the Godzilla canon.
He did die.
Yeah.
He was. What is
Also,
it?
And it wasn't because of the suspension bridge. It was in Godzilla Final Wars, where Godzilla goes across the planet, wiping out other monsters that have been like brainwashed by the alien force in there. And he fights this Zilla, who is also CG'd because they're like, haha, fuck
They
you.
just took the model. It was probably part of their deal.
The
Yeah.
exact thing. And he gets slammed into the Sydney Opera House and blown up by the actual Godzilla's atomic breath, all to the hit music of Sum 41's "We're All to Blame."
what?
I'm not even making that up.
What?
It is one of the greatest scenes in cinema.
Yeah, that was the Skyfall of the Godzilla series. I think that was the 50th.
The Skyfall of the Godzilla. Is that what you just said? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Godzilla Final Wars. They spared no
Somebody
expense.
write that down. I know it's recorded, but somebody write that down.
I don't even
That's
know how to
amazing.
react to that right now.
Wait, speaking of atomic breath, though, this Godzilla doesn't have atomic breath.
What tower breath?
Fuck.
He's got just aggressive halitosis.
All right, was this legal matters? Because otherwise, I don't see why they wouldn't have this in there. Is it too powerful for these people? Like they didn't want to have it in there?
They didn't want to have the atomic nuclear connection.
Oh my
Sorry,
God.
we can't do that on American soil.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that.
Fuck them. Jesus.
That's why
How
they,
do
like-
you not?
I know.
It's one of the coolest things Godzilla does.
Sean, they wanted it to be more realistic.
It's because Roland Emmerich had no desire to
Make a Godzilla movie?
make the same Godzilla movie. He wanted it to be nothing like old Godzilla.
Well, he succeeded.
Yeah,
that
he did very
son
well.
of a bitch.
When Toho saw the design for this Godzilla, they had like a meeting to approve the design of this Godzilla, and at the end of the meeting, they literally said, "Can we have a day to think about it?" And they left, and they came back, and they were like, "We don't know how else you could change it at this point, so I guess it's okay."
Yeah, because I have to assume they went away from that meeting and they're like, so this is not going to be Godzilla. And they're like,
Right.
well, that may actually play to our advantage. Like, so that way it's not.
Yeah, and that's why that's why they ended up referring to it as Zilla, and it is no longer Godzilla.
Even
That's
on the
very
like
true.
Godzilla like toys where they have all their little like icon creatures, he even has his own little just says Zilla.
Zilla.
That's a smart move on their part.
Yeah.
It's like this is they'll come back to us.
Yeah.
They'll see this movie and they'll be like, we want real Godzilla.
They were just like, okay, America, you do your Godzilla.
I know, but that makes you wonder what the negotiations were for the 2014 American
I know.
Godzilla.
Dollar
Yeah.
sign, dollar sign,
It was
dollar
literally
sign, dollar
like,
sign.
listen here, they probably just posted that movie. They're like, you're gonna watch this, okay?
Yeah.
Did you like that? No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because I dug that one. The 2014 one, I thought that was like,
I love it.
it felt like people had actually seen Godzilla movies before
Right.
that.
The whole movie again, I was waiting for Atomic Breath, and I was like, I can't be let down again. And it's when it just like the charge up sound of that, I was losing it in that theater.
Right? And that would have been great for this because it's a good sound. You're just like, whoa, he's going to do it. It's coming. You get excited for it.
Well, they were, I thought I read somewhere that like the original, I can't remember if it was the original draft or the original version of the movie, like didn't even have the fire breath that they do. There's two scenes here where something explodes in front of him and he blows so hard that it basically.
That's what it is. Yeah, he doesn't actually have fire breath.
It's like his
he has-
it is.
It's like a.
It's so
like
strong
a
it blows things up and
It's like a gaseous thing.
But were those scenes added later? Because the scenes don't involve like any of the main characters, if I recall correctly, or maybe there was one where the cab was
it's
fleeing.
at the end. The second time he does it, they're like when he's after they've killed his babies. He shoots it like down the alleyway, and they get out of the way just as the cars get blown up midair.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wasn't sure if that was like something that was like, Godzilla should probably like have fiery breath. That's what we kind of remember.
Yeah.
And then he takes a missile to the throat and he can't do it anymore. There's simple ways to do this.
And that was another thing that Roland Emmerich was like, we need characters. We need these like character arcs and character stories that we didn't have that in the first script. So now we need it. So that's why we get all the bullshit with Matthew Broderick and his ex-fiance and all that crap.
Because it goes off like a way. So you're like involved in the day-to-day lives of these not terribly interesting, self-absorbed.
This is just I care about this poor animal that's just trying to be a single dad. That's what I care about.
Goddamn it, Holly, I do too.
Right? That's who I care about.
Well, I mean, I didn't have 200 children, but
just work on the one.
Oh, that's fine. That's all I need. Yeah, Godzilla's nuts for having that many kids. Like, rein it in.
No. There was no nuts.
It's all
that's true.
sexual.
Yeah.
Well,
born pregnant.
Born pregnant. Pregnant with 200 eggs.
Oh boy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that you've stuck around with us this long and listened to us talk about Godzilla, all things Godzilla.
I think we skipped over the part where we listen to Godzilla die as Matthew Broderick stares into his eye.
Oh, yeah.
I felt that. I felt that in my
feel
heart.
Like you're going that way.
Yeah. I felt that in my heart.
This is the hero of the movie, not the scourge that's going to unleash an Armageddon.
Innocent victim.
Yeah. There you go. Well, that's what they're saying.
Hashtag not all
just like Grizzly.
Yeah, the villain did not die in this movie.
He's still alive, goddammit.
It's Audrey.
It's Audrey.
Audrey is the villain in this goddamn movie.
But she's forgiven. And they're going to go off and make babies themselves.
I don't care what they do.
Maybe their baby can fight the other baby.
There you go. I'm surprised this didn't show up on
the animated series.
Animated show. Yeah.
They both come back.
Just
mean right hook.
Yeah. The baby has atomic breath.
There you go.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Something happened in the DNA.
All right. Well, tell you what, we're going to go around the table and tell you what we thought of this movie. But first of all, we're going to answer some of your mail. In order to do that, we're going to summon our mailman, and his name is Igor. Bring us the mail.
Masters, the mail. I've got the mail. So many letters. Our followers are rising.
Why, thank you, Igor.
Thanks, Igor. Where's his?
He has atomic breath.
Okay,
yeah.
He's definitely
in the morning.
He definitely has atomic breath. Yeah.
Let's put your mask back on, Igor. Jesus.
All right.
Well, he also has 200 little babies following him around at all times.
Did you see them? Actually, it was a daisy chain of
can you not see
handing
the slime trail?
We can't afford to take care of his babies.
He lives with Colin. We don't get shit. All I gotta do is make sure he's got mail
in the sub basement. That's right. Yeah, a lot of mail. This
I think
week.
He eats half the mail. I think that's mostly how he subsists.
I want you to blow up the sub basement.
So this is the Madison Square Garden of your house right here.
Gotcha.
Okay, got it.
Okay, coming up from the pipes.
Well, we want to remind you how you can participate on this interactive portion of our show. All you got to do is follow along on Facebook,
Facebook.com/Saturday Night Freak Show,
or Twitter
at Sat Freak Show.
You can email us directly,
SaturdayNightFreakShow@yahoo.com,
or you can follow along on Instagram at Saturday Night Freak Show. MF Mad, the keeper of the Saturday Night Freak Show Wall of Fame, inducted several people into
Did he induct Al Young?
No.
Damn it.
But Al Leong, that's right, stuntman extraordinaire, is in this movie.
He's in this movie?
Yeah. In the Japanese fishing.
He might already be on the wall.
I think he is on the wall.
I think he's already on
Check
the wall.
We'll have to look and see if Al Leong is up on the wall, because obviously we'll have to add his. But so the hallway, there's the Wall of Fame in the hallway. But there's a couple folks, Malcolm Denaire, who was Dr. Mendel Craven in this movie. He was also in Christine and Popcorn, which we did. Robert Lesser had one shot I saw in this. He was the dad in the Monster Squad. He was in The Relic, and he was in Godzilla. Glenn Morshower, who I think it was the guy from 24, who was like the guy recruited Totopoulos at the beginning of the movie. He was in Tango and Cash. He was in Godzilla, and he was also in After Earth.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go.
No.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
All right, well, about
Michaela
tonight's
did
movie.
that to us.
That's true.
Sorry, Michaela, but you did.
I don't think that's the updated list, but I think he is on the wall.
Okay. So about tonight's movie, Jacob Kottner writes in and says, I like this movie. I like this movie
Todd?
better than any Godzilla movie.
Oh,
no.
He says, I know it's stupid. Sue me. Matthew Broderick beats
I
all.
will.
It's even got 10-minute Jurassic Park scene in Madison Square Garden, and I was sold before that. It's stupid. It's funny. It's got an amazing P. Diddy song. The only Godzilla.
Wow. Well,
Wow. You know what? In this country, we have the freedom of speech.
That's true.
And you have the
That's
right
true.
to your opinion.
Should we?
And the right to be wrong about it.
It's true. And
Love what you love.
I figured we'd
Everybody's
start
got a
with the
king.
hot take.
that's
I love
okay.
it. I love it though. I honestly I applaud the positivity.
Yeah,
from it.
I like people that stand up
Yep.
for what they like, and
Exactly.
Jacob is a avid listener, so we love Jacob.
Here's to you, Jacob.
Well, Evil Kid Summer, says the most insane part about this is the Puff Daddy song.
No.
Which rips off Cashmere from Led Zeppelin at the end credits.
And mixes in the
it's not-
Godzilla roar.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
A remix Godzilla scream.
I don't know if you can call it a ripoff though, because Jimmy Page did work on the song with him.
Oh,
did he?
okay.
Yeah.
With
Oh.
the exact same
That's why it's
riff from
Puff Daddy
okay.
featuring Jimmy Page.
I mean, I might
Yeah.
have to listen to this a lot over the next week.
Joseph Walker writes in and says, I love the new Godzilla movies. Wasn't a big fan of Kong versus Godzilla, but I still enjoyed it. Although I agree with you about the 90s Godzilla movie, it sucked balls. I'm glad they didn't incorporate it into the monster universe.
But they did. Oh,
But
the
Toho
new
did.
monsters.
Right.
Yeah,
Wait,
That would be-
did they say they agree with us that it sucked?
I know we haven't said
We haven't said what we thought about it yet.
No.
You don't know.
G Money writes in and says the fish
3
scene.
minutes later, it sucks.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll see. G Money says the fish scene always made me nauseous, and Matthew Broderick is a jerk throughout, but the marketing campaign was undeniably awesome.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about the awesome soundtrack instead?
I mean,
I don't remember this.
It was just very Jurassic Park.
are you talking about the original score or just the single Puff Daddy song? Because that's all you got.
Right,
It's
because
one or
that's
the
what I
other.
was like. I thought there was like a soundtrack album, but I think there was of music inspired by Godzilla.
Inspired by, I love the Inspired by album.
Yeah, with the Puff Daddy thing,
Yeah.
because I was listening after reading that comment. You
were listening on purpose?
I was like,
Yeah.
and I heard like one, diegetic track. The music's by David Arnold. He did all the Emmerich stuff and then went on to do all the new James Bond movies. I think
Right.
he's the-
I like the score. I'm okay with the score in this movie. It's par for the course, I think, with Emmerich stuff. But yeah, I like
Yeah.
it.
yeah, which is all trying to be what would John Williams do? I think
Yeah, I was like-
basically the-
That, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, why is this very John? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Several parts. There were several parts in this. I'm like, this is very Jurassic Parky. And yeah.
Kryptonian Orphan says, I remember working retail when this movie came out. Before its release, we received tons and tons of Godzilla toys. When the movie bombed, we ended up marking down everything, and it still wouldn't sell. Finally, we packed it all up and sent it back to the warehouse.
There's some country. You know what happens to the T-shirts for the team that doesn't win the
Oh,
championship at the
yeah.
end of the year? They get boxed up and sent to other countries.
Third world countries,
Third world country. That's where all the
yeah.
Godzilla plush dolls are. I would guarantee it.
Well, he says it's a bomb. Was this movie a bomb?
No. Not really.
I mean, I remember that it made more than its budget, but not enough to
Yeah.
be considered like a big success.
No,
which
it
is
wasn't
why-
it wasn't as big of a success as they anticipated, but it still didn't totally bomb. Like which we talked about John DeBont leaving because they didn't approve his budget. He wanted between 100 and 120 million to make the movie, and they told him no. The movie ended up costing 130 million.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But it
And-
was originally like 80 or something,
Yeah,
right?
and it grossed worldwide over 379 million.
I like that that's a disappointment.
Yeah.
That's a disappointment.
Yep.
379 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Backlook Cinema Podcast says, while this movie is a disappointment, it's much better than when you retcon this creature as Zilla instead of Godzilla. The Japanese version of Zilla is atrocious.
No, this version of it is just atrocious.
Right, yeah.
They didn't retcon anything. It's just it.
No, it's the same Zilla.
It's the same Zilla.
This is it.
It's the baby that survived. And then it gets killed. Real Godzilla, okay? There's no retcon. It's literally, watch the animated series. You'll know that.
All right. Travis Legler says, you mean you're watching the cheap wannabe Jurassic Park? This was the dark age of movies. Poor effects, piss poor storytelling, and painful to watch acting by Broderick. This movie, Batman and Robin, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 made me realize as a young moviegoer that Hollywood can really fucking suck at their job.
See?
Ugh, I hate this fucking thing.
I think Batman and Robin was one of mine too. That I was like, wow, movies.
This is
can
your
suck.
wake up call.
That was one of my wake up calls.
Turtles 3 wasn't the best either, but I think maybe we'll stay with the rest.
I didn't expect.
They all fit into the same category now, though.
I didn't expect Turtles 3 to be good. Batman and Robin disappointed me. You know what I mean?
Although at the time, like Batman and Robin, I realized, I was talking to my buddy about this too the other day, like when the toys and stuff came out, it was all about that movie. I don't like in hindsight, I was like, oh man, that was a bad movie.
Did they have action figures with ice skates that pop out of their feet? Because I want them to.
Pretty sure they did. Everything.
Hey everyone, chill.
What killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice Age.
Well, speaking of disappointment, Michael Whitaker.
Now you got two of us down here.
Oh,
well, Michael Whitaker writes in. He says, "This, along with Batman and Robin, really showed me what it was like to be disappointed in a movie franchise. Before those movies, I wasn't nearly as critical. For what it's worth, though, Toho renamed the character Zilla and apparently used him in other Godzilla movies. I gotta admit, that's kind of impressive." Mark Zidane says, "As a true Godzilla fan, I try to block this out of my head. Between the giant iguana design and the Jurassic Park-esque scenes with the babies, this movie just pisses me off. Movie was never so bad, even Japan riffed the monster design in Godzilla Final Wars. I kind of do wish we would have seen the Stan Winston Godzilla."
That would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could see Stan Winston anything, but that would have been cool.
The Film Effect podcast says, "As much as I hate this film, I'm willing to give it a rewatch so I can enjoy you guys tearing in a new one this week. Everything about this film missed the mark, and the only thing I take from it is the Taco Bell marketing campaign with the Yo Quiero Taco Bell dog when it came out."
Yep. I think we're getting that cultural seepage again, Colin.
Cultural seepage.
Yep.
Copyright 2021. Saturday Night Freak Show. The B Movie Poster Vault says, so you're watching the giant iguana play hide and seek with Nick Totopapalopoulos, huh?
Yes.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, have fun with that. He says, "I saw this in a theater and it was a combination of dumb as a bag of hammers and frustrating for a lifelong Big G fan.
I bet.
Showing it to my Godzilla completionist kid last year. He now refers to it as not Zilla." So can we all agree that was indeed a lot of fish? Wow, that's like that's what people remember from this movie, Colin.
That was one big pile of fish.
One big pile of fish. Adam Kaler says, "Why was Matthew Broderick so insistent in tracking down Godzilla? Godzilla used one too many sick days to skip school and made Cameron crash his father's Ferrari? Bueller?"
Wow.
There it is.
See what you did there.
Made this one without much of a Bueller reference.
I know. I was like, that was our first one.
I know, for the whole show. Yeah. Jimbo
Zilla?
Ice.
Zilla? That's what he was doing the entire movie. All right, there it is.
Jimbo Ice says, "I usually try and watch whatever the freak show is covering, but not this time because this movie is beyond garbage." He says, "Godzilla was my first childhood obsession. I would rewatch VHS tapes of whichever movies my parents had probably gotten at a thrift store as a child and then again as an adult. But this was a one and done that insulted the franchise and at every level to basically make Independence Day times Jurassic Park 2. I know it's a summer blockbuster year, but with all the goofy and or insane titles like Monster Island or Destroy All Monsters or the great ones like King of the Monsters 1985 or the fascinating Shin Godzilla, I can't help but feel a certain way that this is the first Godzilla movie covered by the Freak Show. Maybe eventually we can get Godzilla on the wall."
Joe, did you write that?
I was going to say, Jimbo Ice.
You can't write your own shit.
Yeah,
and then come on the show.
okay. Sorry, guys.
That's cheating. That's putting in the code or something. Yeah, you can't do that.
Are we kindred spirits? Because,
Did you just become best friends?
I think we did in our shared trauma of this movie.
Peter Gatt wrote in and said, "You should rebrand the name of the show to the Saturday Night Crap Show for this episode." And Neil Gum
I don't know
says,
how to take that. That's like
Just for this episode.
I don't want to change
Just this one.
And Neil Gum says, if it weren't for the human characters, these Godzilla films would be rock."
These?
Wait,
That's
I think he's talking about the new ones as well.
Yeah,
which are
maybe.
also. But that's just me.
All right. Well, last week we watched the movie and it was called House of Wax. Puma Kuma writes in and says, "Hello, Freak Show. Long time no see. I was formerly known as Sushi Fangs. When I first emailed you all, I would like to thank Sean for pushing House of Wax into the Freak Show. I remember suggesting it in the Alone in the Dark episode, so it brings me joy seeing it as an episode. Also, Did you know there was an alternate opening to the movie that was better than the theatrical opening? A woman named Jennifer is stranded on a road after a car breaks down. She calls a towing company. Bo's truck shows up. She tries to signal him. He gets no response, and the truck speeds up. Jennifer tries to run. Bo grabs her by the neck and throws her face first into a windshield, apparently killing her, or instantly killing her.
Well, welcome back. And that sounds exciting.
That's, the
opening we got was the twins.
was
I
the
think,
child
like,
abuse.
yeah.
How could you forget the child abuse?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Steve Carney says House of Wax reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is funny because
Yeah.
Tourist
Yes.
Trap, the film that House of Wax feels the most like a remake of, definitely paid homage to Chainsaw. I'm glad you guys are covering the movie because I think it deserves to be rediscovered.
Listen to the episode. I think we
all agreed with that.
Yeah.
Andrew John says, I never understood the hate on House of Wax. I love it. It's more of a Tourist Trap remake.
For sure.
But still just a fun movie on its own. I can't wait to listen, as always.
I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
episode.
That's a good one.
About the previous week's movie, Grizzly, Mike Welch writes in and says 2 things about Grizzly. First, Neil Adams did the poster and also did some production work for The Funhouse.
Oh, the Funhouse.
We did say Neil Adams did the poster, I think.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
He's a comic book artist. Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Fuck Larry Block.
There you go.
Just want to
Thank
get that in
you.
there. Just want to get that in there.
Pat Hetfield says Grizzly is one of my favorite Jaws ripoffs. I thought it was fun, and I didn't even mind that the corpses, if I recall right, were played by mannequins. And yes, please watch Day of the Animals.
Oh.
Yeah, that one will come eventually. Yeah.
Simon Carter says, I think a rocket launcher is a pretty good way to go for most situations.
I'm going to agree with that. Yeah.
Sure.
David Draculic.
Wow. Hold on.
Say it again.
Slow down. Say it again.
Draculic?
Draculic?
Alucard?
We're sorry
Is this
if
what we're trying to say?
yeah, we're sorry if we're butchering your name. David says
this is Dracula writing in. It's like trying to hide his name just
David
a little bit.
Dracula.
David Dracula. Oh fuck!
this would be too obvious. Dracula.
And then at the end, he's like blah. I mean, sincerely.
well, he says
Sorry, dude.
yeah, we apologize.
We love you.
Thank
We love you for writing in and listening. Thank you.
What does the count say?
He says Grizzly was a good movie at the time, but actually a 357 H&H Magnum would have done the job.
Oh, there you go.
B. Shaw Foolery says rocket launchers are like that are dummy proof, but not George proof. Christopher George, you guys should keep up keep track of special weapons and the number of times they're used in movies, because we have like a running total on rocket launcher movies. Brett Williams says, Colin, on top of flesh gloves and flesh bats, you add flesh bras?
Yeah,
this is not appropriate behavior, young man.
There's a pattern here.
Yeah,
Colin.
you got to stop with the flesh.
The flesh bra. Yeah. Okay. So in Grizzly, he says they used that because we asked a question about like what was the deal with the rocket launcher. He says they used a mock-up of an M1 bazooka from World War II. It was not something that Dan, the helicopter pilot, would have used in Vietnam, let alone be allowed to take home. Once the rocket is installed and connected to the battery terminals, it's just point and pull the trigger.
There you
That's
go.
what you love about rocket launchers. Like I'm so glad we got so simple with it. Just like point and shoot, dude.
You pull the thing out, you point it, and you pull the trigger.
I mean,
bam.
it's a rocket launcher. Let's not complicate it.
Right? Yeah. It's just like, hey, I need to blow that thing up over there.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Richard Krotzer says, since you guys had such a good time with Grizzly, and great review, by the way, I recommend that you watch The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. He says it's a slow burn. There's a twist that pays off regarding. Okay. But it says it's one of my favorites and seriously underrated, and you should check it out.
I love The Edge. That's on my list.
The previous week, we watched Cowboys and Aliens, and Maurice says, I saw Cowboys and Aliens in the theater the weekend it came out, thinking it would be incredible. And as you all know by now, it started great. I always thought Daniel Craig should have been an alien all along, and I just forgot about it because he fell from the spaceship. He was an alien. Forgot about it because he fell from the spaceship.
Oh, okay.
That would have been a special reveal and would have explained why he could mess people up so easy. Plus, Craig kind of looks like an alien at times. Cowboys and aliens is a total waste of potential, and that's always made me mad.
They could have done a lot more with it than they did. I agree with that.
That would have been a nice twist instead of what's her name being the alien. Spoiler, sorry.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
For Cowboys and Aliens. Okay, but you should go back and listen to our episode.
Oh, we had a good discussion about that one. You should go back and listen to it.
Yeah, well, thank you all very much for writing in. That was a lot of mail this week, prompted by anger for tonight's movie, Godzilla.
You're welcome.
So we're going to go around the table and tell you what we thought of it individually, starting with
Colin. What did you think of Zilla 98?
Okay, so
Be honest, be true to yourself.
I guess there's the me that watched it in 1998, and then there's the me that watches it now. Now I've seen obviously better Godzilla movies, and I wasn't like a huge fan of the other movie. I'd seen some of them, but like bits and pieces or whatever, and I knew what Godzilla was, and so I went into it and it was like, well, this isn't a Godzilla movie. It played like a pretty functional, big budget, blow 'em up, keep moving to the end of the movie, action spectacular. But this time I was really like, there's really the writing in the movie is like about at the level of like a 10-year-old. Like a kid can watch this movie and understand it. I think there's no real complication to any of the relationships. So it's very, I guess that was what Emmerich's trying to do, right? He's like, Spielberg is my hero. I want to make Spielberg movies. I want to, and so it's, if you like Jurassic Park, you'll go to see Godzilla. But me now, I can't recommend that you see this movie, since there are better Godzilla movie. And I do think the 2014 one was significantly better than this, although the King of the Monsters sucked and Kong versus Godzilla was, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I can't recommend the movie. Can I? If you're 10,
listen out there,
Colin.
10-year-olds.
Colin, no one 10 years old is listening to our podcast.
I'm gonna say that I didn't enjoy it. I mean,
Todd's
okay, I have a son. He's always the test subject for these.
All right,
so I will show it to him and see
report
what
back.
happens. Yeah.
Is it going to be his first Godzilla movie?
Yeah. No, he's seen the new ones.
Okay.
I mean, even some of the I guess at the time I thought, like the helicopter chase of Godzilla through the streets of New York.
When the
skyscraper.
helicopters just emerged
that
from
was
all the streets.
The best.
The fleet of helicopters that just like
it was a
oozed
fleet.
onto the streets.
Yeah. But no, the first one, the chase through the canyons of New York.
Yeah.
It's
That felt like a ride.
Yeah.
I forgot how much it feels like a ride. Like Universal Studios felt like a ride.
Yeah.
So did the that extended chase scene at the end, which seemed to go on forever in the cab, but that also felt like
right. Like that is the thing you get.
They were trying to come up with
this is our next Universal.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of. Have you guys ever been to Universal? Like when they had the Back to the Future ride.
Back to the Future ride. Yeah.
Feels just like that because you get swallowed by a dinosaur in the Back to the Future ride.
This was in a time when I feel like that was one of their goals. Like, all right, let's have the potential there that it could be a ride because that's where we want to go. Yeah.
Joe, was there a ride?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay, I'm disappointed, Joe.
Well, because at this point, we still had the King Kong ride.
We did, which is also what this felt like.
Yeah.
We were on a trolley. You were like going through like the buildings in a city, and then he was around a corner. Felt just like that.
But I feel like it would have fit in. There was the Jaws ride, the King Kong ride. It should have been a Godzilla ride.
Probably should have been. They could have. I mean, they could have put just a Godzilla mask over King Kong. And
they had the earthquake ride too, which was New York City. So.
Oh right, yeah,
that's true.
Well, I mean, it seems
earthquake caused by Godzilla.
Right, you just put a Godzilla foot in there. That's it. That's all you need. It's a Godzilla ride,
and not tell anyone that they add it.
Yes,
I know, but see, that's like, I'm actually like, because you do like a human level story or something like that, and then there's just like this big lizard that comes up. But we had that movie and it's called Cloverfield, and I would recommend that over this one. So
we're not talking about that, Colin.
I'm gonna say no to Godzilla 1998. Joe, what do you think of tonight's movie?
Godzilla.
As I briefly mentioned earlier, this movie was the first movie I realized that movies could suck. I grew up on, like I said, with Jimbo Ice's comment. That was basically my experience. I loved the original Godzilla movies, watching those all the time. I would rewatch those VHSs. And like Godzilla is so like, in knowing now like what he represents and like that it's basically like something that America should look at as like we should kind of like take a step back and like it should represent a really great like shame because of its like, just the the effect of nuclear like bombs on Japan and what it did. Godzilla is supposed to be a force of nature that is unstoppable. Literally faces the military and sometimes he is your hero, sometimes he is your villain. But regardless, he is always there. And then this movie took him and was just felt, besides being awful, just a massive insult to that, because it's what if America didn't drop the bombs and cause them? What if it was France? And then also, what if like Godzilla wasn't this big monster, but he ran away from the military, wasn't facing them down? What if Godzilla also not only got killed by the U.S. military, but was thwarted by our infrastructure? So not only did we bomb you into oblivion and set you back, our structures are better, our military is better.
This is why our current government is trying to get a new infrastructure built through. They know Godzilla's coming.
Exactly. Yes.
They're like, we got to beef this up.
We have to keep going. So they know the real Godzilla's coming.
Right. Yes.
So it's just it's no wonder that it took so long for us to get another one after that, because it was such a, like, even at a production level, but even going more of like the history and a personal, it's very like insulting and just very like horrid in that part. But as a movie too, just awful, and I will not recommend it all. Now, also, I'm going to go against the grain. I love 2014. I love the War of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, my buddy kind of described these two as they're like modern Showa era. Like, they're just a big monster bashing things. For me, that's where I'm at. I love it. It feels great. So
that's all you need. Godzilla. Is it weird to say I agree with everything that's been said this whole entire time? Like male and all that stuff. I agree. Yep. I can see how this would be insulting to Godzilla people, because it's kind of it's a very insulting movie.
Godzilla people. Do you have a term that you Godzilla people use? Like, are you?
Oh yeah.
Like, are you?
Are you Zillas? Are you? What are you?
Trekkies?
No,
they're
Zillas.
Not Zillas. There's the I don't know. It's probably the G-Force, because that's not the movie with the hamsters.
Right.
But yep. But in the Godzilla universe, that is like the team that's kind of fighting him sometimes.
Okay.
So maybe that.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
All right,
Jungle Ice. Write in and tell me what our team should be called.
Todd, any words?
Yeah, Todd. What do you think?
Todd?
So I agree with all that. I understand that perspective. It's a bad movie. I found it charming tonight. I'm kind of in the same spot Colin was. It's like, am I going to recommend this? What I'm going to do is going to say that you should not watch this movie by yourself. I think you have a problem and should seek help if you do decide to see this by yourself. You're probably not all right. Yep. But this is definitely a watch with people movie. Like, totally. Like, I had surprisingly a lot of fun tonight watching it with all you guys. And I think that is the only way you should watch this movie, because it is way too long. It's way too not Godzilla. Like, I'm not a big Godzilla guy. I've seen the new movies and all that stuff. I haven't seen many of the old movies. I'm interested in Shin Godzilla, as you mentioned. If it's got a good idea and story to it, I'm in, but Godzilla's never been my thing. This one didn't help, although it's not Godzilla. But yeah, I'm not going to recommend it to you to sit alone and watch it. But man, if you get a bunch of friends together, like, that's the only way you should watch it. And it can be a fun time.
It can be.
And I think it's through that lens of, it being 20 something years it's fun to watch it through. I was charmed by the movie. I had fun with it. Not necessarily, it's not funny, but I had fun with it.
Although it tries to be in certain parts, I'm not sure why. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the comedic aspect it's odd.
Yeah,
it's weird. Bizarre. Yeah.
But it's got Emmerich brings, I think, a lot of elements. He's lucky that Independence Day came out before this, because he's able to bring a lot of those elements to this movie that I do enjoy. Like, he's got that flavor that for this kind of period of time I liked. And I think there is still something to enjoy in this, whether you're making fun of it or what have you. There's something there for it. So yeah, if you get together with a bunch of friends and you can watch this movie, and I think that's the safest you can be. I want you to be safe while watching this movie. So be with friends.
Positive mental health tonight, Sean. I'm digging it.
There it is.
Like you said too, the man knows how to blow up a building.
Yeah, and there is, you know what? There is that he does. He still knows how to blow up a building and flip a car. I'll give him that. So there is merit to this movie. So there you go. Holly,
bring us home. Yeah. So I think this is, Sean, exactly what you're saying is a problem. Or I don't know if it's a problem, but it's a debate that we have often in the basement, is that we watch movies to say if we're going to recommend it or not. However, we watch them as a group of friends watching these movies. And sometimes that changes the lens and we have fun with it. But it's like, okay, but I don't want to recommend it to anyone. I'm not going to be like, oh, you got to watch Godzilla 1998. It's a great movie. No, I'm never going to say that. I'm never going to say that.
You mentioned the lens we do it through. I thought about this. I want to remind everyone, we always, most of the time, come to this podcast right off watching the movie.
Right.
So we are delivering you pretty hot takes.
We're delivering you
coming
our
right from watching
recent
this stuff.
experience
Yes, this
with
is
this.
not because our opinions do change. Like from a group of people who did not recommend The Wraith, a lot of people here bought that Blu-ray when it came out,
Right.
me included.
Yeah.
So hot takes coming right off of it are a certain thing, and our opinions do change. But
That's
we are
exactly
coming right
it.
off of a movie to do it. I
If
just want to put that lens.
That's exactly it. We watch this movie, as you know, we watch this movie together and then we talk about it.
Yep.
If we had all watched this movie separately and then come together to talk about it, this would have been a
Horrible
totally
time.
different conversation.
Horrible time.
So we have to keep that in mind as
Yes.
we're talking about watching it like with a group as an experience. And in that aspect, it's a fun time. Watching it with a group of people, laughing at it, and making fun of it, because it's a shit movie. It is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. No one should watch this movie, but if you want to have some fun with some friends, it's a good time, and you should watch it together because that's hilarious. So no, I will say I'm not going to recommend it. I'm going to say I approve of your experience with your friends enjoying it together.
We're being very specific on this movie.
That is where we're
Again, we
going
don't want
with
you
it.
to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't.
Nostalgia can hurt. Don't hurt yourself with the sharp blade of nostalgia. All right?
Sometimes compartmentalizing your life is important.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes
still-
rose-colored lenses
Keep it separate.
shatter in your eyes.
That's
But right now,
That's
I
right.
think when I looked it up today, that and it was like all the show times that it's currently running on TV. So I mean, this movie is still circulating in a big
yeah.
way and being seen by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So more power to you, I guess, if you're a big fan of Godzilla 1998.
There you go.
So we're saying don't watch it. Next week we're watching a movie that's chosen
I like
by.
how Colin just broke it down to that. It's like, fuck everything you guys just said. We're not recommending this movie. Colin wants to be clear. Like, this is a brand. We cannot recommend this movie.
Like as a whole, representing our podcast, no, do not watch that
It
movie.
wasn't like a 50-50 split or anything. It was like
No,
Freak Show
that is an
approved. It was
official
a
no. Yes.
Freak Show passed.
Yeah, Freak Show
Yeah,
pass.
officially,
Yes,
yes.
officially it's a pass.
Have fun with it, but pass.
So next week we're watching a movie that's chosen by.
Michaela.
I whisper because she's not here.
I,
What are we watching?
I'm representing Michaela as her proxy. As you know, we are going to be, next week's going to be Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
So naturally, we're going to watch Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
Not Jason X.
Why are we doing part 5? God damn it. The only interesting ones are the bad ones.
Her exact words were, let's do it right.
Let's. All right. There you go.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, so Jason Lives next week on Saturday. Of course, you'll be hearing it a week later.
Sure, but that flavor, the flavor
Yeah.
of the day will be in the podcast.
We're going to be in the holiday. We're going to be celebrating.
You will feel it through us.
All right, so that's next week on the Saturday Night Freak Show. We hope you'll